It is Hump Day Wednesday, everybody. Futures Brizio here, 1:15 p.m. on Wednesday, April 15th. It is tax day if you are in the US, so yay. Today's the day that the government gets to officially screw you and rob you of as much money as they can. So, but that's a story for another time. So I hope everybody's doing well. I'm sorry if I sound a little under the weather. I am, in fact, a little under the weather, but I'm going to muscle through this anyways. I got some respiratory thing going on here. Um, I had like a killer sore throat last night. That's better now, but I'm just generally feeling a little under the weather. So that's okay. We're going to muscle through it. And make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and any questions or comments, make sure you leave them down below. So we'll just jump right in. We'll take a quick look at some things. First of all, we'll start on futures since that's we are soybean oil. Um, no trade here today. I actually would like to maybe see a short setting up here. Possibly tomorrow. If we just again look at recent price action, I like to if it's just some of these strictly mechanical trades. This is the 4 hour time frame. What I like to do is identify kind of the last major swing point, which was right here, and then we put in a lower high and a lower low, and now we're pulling back. Now, if ultimately this goes up and breaks this high and fills this gap, then that will change the bias. But for now, this still looks pretty, bearish. So not going to happen today, but maybe we'll see a potential short setting up tomorrow. So that's soybean oil, nothing there today. Soybean meal, a little unsure. This one, we do have this pretty clear double top going on right here. Market is trying to recover, but I'd be more inclined to take a sell on this, but either way, it's not going to happen today. So probably just let this one play out, see what it does tomorrow. Soybeans continues to be inside this range. We do have this little channel right here that price broke out of, and it's like heading back towards the top of the range again. But like I said, it is basically this range right here. And so not really anything that I'm too interested in at the moment, as long as it's staying inside this trading range here. Right now, it's right in the middle of the range, so I'm definitely not interested in this in the middle of the range. So we'd have to see some sort of breakout out of this range, try to get the trend going again. But right now, it's just chopping around. And then corn looks like it's trying to resume the uptrend again. Looks like we've taken out the this 4 hour swing here. This was the last kind of swing point that led to this low. I don't really consider this to be valid. And then looks like we put in a higher low right here. Now it does look like moving to the upside. So if that continues, then perhaps again what we'll do is wait for some kind of a pull back down by the stochastic RSI, get us down back into the oversold area, or at least close to it, even if it comes back to here, but somewhere below the 50 line, preferably below the 20 line, and see this thing, give us a buy entry, but nothing doing today. Wheat did give us a buy signal here today. And you can see it right there. Again, if we look at just kind of the last swing point, we just put like a channel, equal distance channel on here. You can see we had this little kind of false breakout right here on this 4 hour candle. This is why you got to be a little bit careful, because this is essentially like a double trend line, right? That's basically what this channel represents. It's like an upper and lower trend line. And you can see we had this candle yesterday broke below, and it looks like, it's definitely going back up. So you got to be a little bit careful that's why you got to be careful with trend lines, because they're going to try to manipulate these trend lines and try to catch people going short. And that appears to be what happened right here. where we kind of broke below here, and now we're pretty strongly moving back inside the range. So I do expect that that will continue up. All right. Um, on Euro futures, just switching over to the currency futures. I did have a long on this, which I closed already up here. It was a pretty pathetic week long, but I took it this morning. It looks pretty bullish, but it kind of petered out. So I did close it at these highs, so I'm out of that now. Um, the Australian dollar continues to move higher. I think I've got a couple. Okay, so the New Zealand dollar also is still strengthening. This was another good long right here. I did not take that one. I wish I did. I've got this one here on the British pound, which is in a little bit of profit. It's kind of like the euro. It's not really going very far. Um, and then I've got this one on the Swiss franc, which is in loss, as you can see. I probably will hold this. I still do think this will make another push up. I may have just been a little bit too early on it. So we'll see what happens there. And then the Japanese yen, not really doing too much, kind of just range bound here. But overall, you know, current move probably bearish, but you can see we're pretty much stuck inside of a range. So, but like I said, the pound and the Kiwi and the Aussie looked pretty bullish today. So, all right, so over to Forex. Um, this is so I started looking at trades both on the daily and the weekly time frame. Now, obviously, on the weekly, you're not going to get very many signals. You could probably, again, go months without a signal on a weekly chart. Especially once a trend is in play, if it's a valid trend. But I started looking for some signals on both time frames, and normally I just keep a legal pad with this, but I wanted to show you. This is some of the things I've been watching here, and it's a little spreadsheet that I have that I updated today. I took a lot of stuff off of here, but basically, like New Zealand dollar. So basically, I'm looking at a signal on the weekly chart. So it's either weekly or daily, and it's either a signal, which means it's something that is happening maybe right now, or a watch where it's just on a watch list. There's nothing to do with it right now, and you can see some of these that I'm watching, whether they're on the weekly or the daily. Most of them are on the daily, which you would suspect, right? Because there's going to be more signals on the daily than the weekly. And then the other thing that I do, and this is really just for my own benefit, although the Discord channel I have talked about a little bit, is I take screenshots and of these potential signals, and I put them in my Discord channel. And like I said, I really do this, even though this channel is open for people to join. If you just go into Discord and you look up Futures Brazil, you'll find it. And once in a while, I put the link to it. But it's mostly just so I can track my setups and go back afterwards and look. So, like the New Zealand dollar, this is on a watch list. This is the daily, right? And basically, you can see why we've got the two lines kind of together. There's nothing to do with this right now, but it's just an example. Here's $1 Canadian as a potential tradable signal right here. Um, and this is the daily chart. You can see the Canadian dollar starting to bend higher, and the U.S. dollar kind of bending lower. And so that's a potential signal. And so that's basically how I keep track of these. Basically, we'll just write them down. I'll take screenshots. You can see I go back. I've got, screenshots going back pretty far here. And, I basically just keep track of all these potential setups. It also allows me afterwards, after a trade has been closed, to go back and look and to see, was that a valid setup? Just kind of helps reinforce um, the signals, psychologically, that they are good signals. And if they're not, then, to go back and say, is there a reason why this wasn't a good signal, or it was just a losing trade, which definitely happens. So that's where we're at. with these. And so that's just a way that I look at these. So if we go back to the spreadsheet a little bit, we look at the weekly chart. Let's just pull up one of these. So let's look at the New Zealand dollar, uh, New Zealand US dollar, and we'll go to the weekly chart, which right here. Okay. And you can see a potential long signal right here where the US dollar is pointing down, the New Zealand's up. We do have a crossover showing right now. Now, again, I have the live feed on. So this is a little bit risky because obviously this is a weekly candle. So this candle, that's this candle right here. This is the candle for the week. This is not going to close obviously until 5 p.m. on Friday. So this could change between now and the next 2.5 days. But as of right now, it looks pretty bullish, and it does look pretty good here with these two strong weekly candles moving up after this little push down. It definitely looks more bullish. Okay, I think I had the New Zealand dollar yen on there too. Yeah, that one, same thing. Right now, this signal actually happened last week, so this is not a current signal. I wouldn't be chasing this. I'm actually in this. I'll show you. I think I'm in this on one of my funded accounts. We'll take a look in a second. But I wouldn't chase this if I weren't in it already because, the signal actually came last week during this candle. And then, it's just late now. It probably will continue up here. We'll probably get back to at least these highs, which may take another week, but it certainly could, hit it in the next couple of days too. And so that's not one I would chase if I wasn't already in it. And then the other one's dollar Swiss. That's the other weekly signal. So go to dollar Swiss, look at the weekly chart. And again, remember this is a candle. Um, this is a live feed. Okay. So it looks like, the dollar crossing down. The Swiss had been really strong, but you can see it's flattened out a little bit. But this again, I mean, if you just look at the price action, this still looks pretty bearish. I do anticipate that we'll see a push down here through at least back to these previous lows. So I actually did take this trade this morning based on this, which is also why I'm keeping this spreadsheet because I want to know what time frame I took it off of. Because if I go back later, and also I have it on here too. Like if you look at, I think I have it on here. Yeah, right here, right? So I have US dollar Swiss right here, my little note, weekly bearish. Okay. So I want to be able to go back later and look at it. Okay. So it's just, one way that you can kind of journal your setups and, go back and look at things later. Okay. All right. So let me go back to the charts here. Why will this not go back? There we go. All right. And then if we look at our funded accounts here, so here's CAD yen. That was taken off of a daily signal. You can see right there, third line down. All right. I think I need to add a column to here whether I actually took the trade or like the date I entered the trade. I think I need to do that. I'm going to update that later. All right. So there's CAD yen in a very small profit. Dollar Swiss, again, I just took that today. It's in a little drawdown. Um, it's probably going to be in drawdown for a little bit, but I'm pretty confident that will eventually turn around. Pound US dollar and Euro Aussie and New Zealand Aussie on this one. And I think it's pretty much the same on the second one. Yeah, it's pretty much the same over here. I'm not in New Zealand yen. I thought I was, but I'm in New Zealand dollar. And so, yeah, so those are my current setups. And you can see, I got a little bit of open profit on both of these accounts. All right. So yeah, so that's basically what I'm looking at here. Um, We already looked at New Zealand dollar. Pound US dollar was another one. So on the weekly chart, we got this signal last week, but I entered this. Let's see, when did I enter pound USD? All right, that was today too. So I did enter that. That's a little bit of a late entry off the weekly chart, but I feel pretty confident it will at least go back to these highs. So that will give me a little bit of breathing room. I probably will set a take profit back at these highs around the 137 area. Um, just because it does look like we have a potential double top. Doesn't mean it'll stop there. It may blow right through there, but it will at least run into some resistance at that level. So that's probably where I'll look to manage that trade. If not close it, then at least trail my stop loss. All right. Um, some other ones here. And let's go back to the daily chart. Euro Swiss is kind of on a watch list. Nothing on the daily chart. On the weekly, again, last week, actually about 2 weeks ago, we did have a buy signal here on the weekly. You can see this crossover on this candle. Yeah, that's realistically wouldn't have been on this one. It would have been on this one. Didn't really go very far. Euro Swiss can be a little wonky. Not really my a best pair to trade. But this one, if I had taken this, I'd probably be sitting near break even right now. But it is on my watch list anyways on the daily chart, um, in case we see some deflection. But we would need to see the euro start to bend up here. If we can get this is the euro, so here's the Swiss starting to bend down. If we can get the euro to turn and go up, then this would be a nice long. It looks more bullish on the daily chart, so that's why it's on my watch list. All right. Um, Pound New Zealand dollar. That's another one. Again, daily chart, not really much going on here. You can see we're kind of flat, so not really much going on there, and nothing really on the weekly chart right now either. They're both kind of just heading up. So this one's more something to watch on the daily chart, and it looks pretty bearish right now, but at least on the price action. But the indicator is not really confirming a lot of that. In fact, the last signal on the indicator was actually bullish, and we got one bullish candle here, and then we reversed off of there. This was the Sunday candle with that weird price action coming out of the weekend news. So, I mean, it is possible that what this is a bullish move out of this zone, and then we'll pull back, and as long as we don't breach this low, then we'll turn and go higher. Because again, even though this is a bearish candle, it's a weird one because this is a Sunday candle, and you can see that the high of this is actually higher than this candle, but it's just that it closed lower, so it's showing it's an odd looking candle. And this is what happens when there's a big liquidity gap. You get these funky looking candles because by right this should be a bullish candle, but it's not. So even though we did get this signal with this bullish candle right here, and then we had the weird Sunday candle, this could be a pullback and then a move up. So I'm still watching this. If we can get some diversion off these two current lines, we get the pound to start bending up and the Kiwi to bend down, then that would be more of a long. However, the New Zealand dollar is pretty strong right now. So just thinking about correlated and cross pairs, that may or may not happen. So we may get the opposite, right? We may get the New Zealand move up and the pound move down, and then that would confirm the bearish action. So that's why I use the signals that the indicator gives me along with what I think the price action's telling me, and I'll make a decision from there. So, so that's kind of how we do things. We'll look at a couple more really quick here, and then I'm going to get out of here because, like I said, I'm not feeling great. Pound Swiss, we got the pound kind of neutral. The Swiss again is showing some weakness. I did have a price alert set here, but I'm not sure I would take this even if it was triggered, because you can see here on the daily chart all of these equal highs here. This is a very big resistance zone up here. So on the weekly chart, let's just see what it looks like. On the weekly chart, it's a little bit more bullish for the pound, but you can see the Swiss also was a little bit stronger here too. So a little bit of conflict there, but I do have that one on my watch list too, I believe. Yeah, right here on the daily as a watch. Why I have such a hard time getting back to this screen. All right, and let's see, New Zealand Swiss. Take a look at that. A lot of Swiss franc trades here, which is a little bit concerning because I certainly don't want to take all these. So there's the weekly of the New Zealand Swiss. Looks not bullish because the Kiwi is more bullish, but the Swiss franc again is also pointing up on the weekly chart. So it's not the best signal again, unless we get some weakening in the New Zealand dollar. I mean, excuse me, in the Swiss franc. On the daily chart, it looks a little bit more bullish here. All right, because we've got potentially having the New Zealand dollar strengthening, the Kiwi weakening. This was yesterday. Um, but I've got the Kiwi dollar on, and I just felt like that was a better trade than this Kiwi Swiss. There's more pips in the Kiwi dollar, and I think the dollar is noticeably more weak right now. So I just felt like if I had to choose between them, the New Zealand U.S. dollar was a better choice, and I still feel that way. So that's the thing you got to think about how much risk you're putting on the table for any given pair, any given currency within that pair. If you're taking multiple trades with the same currency in different pairs, you're putting a lot of risk on the table if you end up being wrong. So just something to think about. All right, but I just so that I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to go through every pair. Um, but again, guys, if you're interested in finding out more about the CSI indicator, let me know. Again, I have this set at a 10 period look back with the live feed on. So this is updating in real time at the right edge of the chart. And it's a 10 period look back, which is just kind of like a compromise time frame. And I do look at the daily and the weekly chart, mostly the daily, but I am starting to look at the weekly chart because um, the weekly chart, again, you're going to get much fewer signals, much fewer signals. But when you do get one, even if it doesn't turn out to be a great signal, like it doesn't go like quote that far, that could easily be a trade you could hold for like 2 weeks because even a small move on the weekly chart is probably going to last a couple of weeks. And that's probably more than you're going to get on the daily chart, anyways, you know? So, so I really like to, I do like to look at the weekly chart. Again, I'm not going to get as many trade entries, but the ones that I do get, I probably can hold them for quite a bit longer. So, but anyway, so I'll leave it there, guys. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel on your way out, and leave any comments down below. I read and respond to all of them. All right. So have a good rest of the day. I'm going to go rest my voice, and we'll be back tomorrow. Okay. Thanks.